Commercial real estate news for a closer look at the market.
Hello and welcome to Commercial Real Estate News. Today we're going to see Vegas in Moscow, new ambitious projects of the Agalarovs, the search, Russian developers can't wait for foreign investors to return, and Chris Macclernon, Colliers International CEO for EMEA countries, in our Research and Market Analysis special. The number of the week is 2.4. According to Andrei Stroyev, head of real estate and business logistics of Sberbank, this is the percentage of problematic projects in bank's portfolio. Mr. Stroyev said that residential projects are generally in a much better shape in terms of borrowed funds, when commercial real estate projects are in a much worse situation. For the past 2 years, investors kept saying how tired they were of large-scale projects. Yet, this does not stop the developers, especially those that started their projects before the crisis, and if the developer is Crocus Group, owned by Aras Agalarov. At the beginning of June, the company opened a themed shopping mall called Vegas, the biggest shopping mall in Russia with a total area of 400,000 square meters. This is the first shopping mall in the country with an amusement park of extreme rides. 2 new Vegas malls are to be built within a few years. The just opened mall is located at the crossroads of Kashirskaya Highway and Moscow Ring Road. I cannot fight the traffic jam. The only thing I can do for the neighborhood I have already done. I have constructed a convenient access ramp, ample parking lot, and if somebody says that I cause traffic jams along the Moscow Ring Road, well, I suppose there should be shopping centers, and if they are to be built in the center of Moscow, it could be worse than when they're built on the widest highway going out of Moscow. According to the developer, the shopping mall is fully let and leases are signed for the entire mall. The scale of the project is the same as the large factory. Annual tax payments are to make about 3 billion rubles. Speaking of the budget, the total amount of project investment is 17 billion rubles, including 11 billion in Sberbank loans. The deal was closed before the crisis. We did not have much risk as we financed the group we have known since 1997, for the past 13 years, and we believe that our risks in the projects were smaller. At the end of the day, Mr. Agalarov is responsible for all the risks. At the press conference, a representative of Sberbank promised to finance other Vegas malls. It seems that large completed projects and a big name form a foundation for even larger projects.
Commercial real estate news for a closer look at the market.
If the market is showing any growth, it is still very small, agreed the participants of the 8th annual summit of the Adam Smith Institute. Real estate market players are still adapting to the new era of real estate market by decreasing rental rates and changing buildings concepts. Still, most are waiting for a miracle to happen. It has been more than a year now that Russian developers continue their quest for foreign investments. But even if some finally find their knight in shining armor, the others will need to get a serious reality check. Unfortunately, the issues related to real estate in Russia in general are not widely discussed here. How much money is actually invested in real estate? In fact, it is much more than people talk about. What we have to discuss is whether there are some financial recourses in the Russian Federation to diversify these investments and not to give in to panic. Market experts familiar with the foreign investors insist that those who have left Russia are to come back soon. Yet today, investors are only willing to enter into stable projects, with preference given to residential development. Same as a year ago, we talk more about arrival of foreign investments than about real deals. Yet some positive trends are now visible, and they vary from one segment to another. In real estate, we can see some demand growth, both by foreign and local investors. Still, there is some growth we are witnessing already. This can be proved at least by the fact that rental rates have stabilized, and the experts, though now extremely careful in their forecasts, are not afraid that the rents will crash again.
Commercial real estate news for a closer look at the market.
And how does the situation in commercial real estate in Russia differ from other countries? We'll have Chris Macclernon, CEO of EMEA division of Colliers International, talk about that in our market special.
I think technically the global recession is over, but I still think that it's going to be bumpy days for the remainder of the year and maybe even to the first quarter of next year. But technically we are out of recession, and it's really the quantitative easing, from the governments putting money into the economy, the reduction of interest rates, and helping industry-specific, such as the automotive industry in the UK, banking sector in Ireland and the UK, for examples. In terms of who's done well in Europe, one country that sticks out would be Poland, who didn't go into recession, just happened to have positive growth during this crisis period. Real estate's a cyclical market, and all markets were affected in the crisis around the world. I'd say that Eastern Europe and Russia were probably the last to go into it. And so there was a lot of talk before going into the crisis in Russia about this is a North American issue or it's a European issue, but really by the time there was a laggard of 3 or 4 months that it arrived here in Russia. But still, as it is a global economy, there's many multinational corporations in Russia, and everyone's been affected. So there was, a large increase in the vacancies and lowering of rental rates and all the traditional things that happen when markets come down. Whether it's leasing an office space or it's investing capital or making a strategic decision about an occupier's real estate, they wanted to wait and see what's happening with the crisis. No one wants to make a decision without more information. So we had that period of no transaction. After about 4 to 5 months, people start to get comfortable with what the new parameters are, and they have to make decisions. Are people still interested in Russia? Absolutely. Russia's one of the BRIC countries and one of the future growth countries. As an investor, I think it's still on the radar. They're looking, they're watching. We haven't seen a huge amount of investor international confidence come to Russia, but I think they're looking, and there's the chance once the global markets start to become clear. And even for our own business, we see a tremendous growth opportunity for Colliers in Russia. One of the things with specifically the Moscow market, you look at the size of the population, the size of the industry. It's still in the global terms. It's the stock is well below an international level. So I think that once we get through a short period of time, vacancy will come down much faster than other markets because the size of the stock is really not that big for the size of the market. So I think that once vacancy gets around 10%, we're about 17% right now. We'll see rental rates start to rise again, and there'll be new construction probably.
Thank you for watching us, and your comments and questions are always welcome at our website www.CRE.news-tv.com. Thank you.